Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I am Tia Graham, and this week we're joined by Orlando Bailey, the Executive Director of Outlier Media. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to co-host with us.
Oh, it is a pleasure. We are demonstrating Eastside-Westside diplomacy all week.
Yes, we are. Why can't we be friends? That's how I feel right now.
And today on the program, paid sick leave will soon be mandated for Michigan employees. We'll hear from someone who represents businesses that are not so happy about the change.
Plus, we'll learn more about an effort in Oakland County to offer more diverse programming in its parks with accessibility days for people living with disabilities. But first, it's that time of year again. For some of us, we're happy about it. For some of us, maybe not so happy, but it's back to school time. Teachers are getting their classrooms ready and kids are soaking up the last days of summer vacation. But how do teens get ready for life after high school? And do you go to college? Or do you get a job and start working? What if you just don't know yet? The Detroit Regional Dollars for Scholars is a nonprofit that helps students from around Southeast Michigan prepare for life after high school. Kelli McCloud has been a liaison for Dollars for Scholars for 11 years and has worked with Utica Community Schools for more than 20, where she supports a group of sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And she's here with us now to talk about getting high schoolers ready for the next chapters of their lives. Kelli, welcome to the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be able to talk to you all.
Indeed, indeed. So how much do teens actually think about or talk about life after high school?
You know, surprisingly, I know people would think that they don't really talk that much about it, but I teach mainly seniors, and it's a discussion from the beginning of the year all the way until the end. So it's actually something that's really hot on their minds for the entire year.
And when we think about it being hot on their minds, can you go into possible, like, the feelings that they have? Are they anxious? Are they excited? Or what's going on with their feelings there?
I feel it's definitely a mix. The beginning of the year of that senior year is just getting all those college applications, figuring out where they're going to go, what they need to do, if they need to do that Common App or need to apply directly. And then right after those college applications, it goes right into getting scholarships to have the funds to be able to support themselves when they go away.
Scholarships and FAFSA, right?
Yeah.
That FAFSA application too, right?
Absolutely. I had a college prep shop that we offered this past summer through Utica Community Schools for the class of 2025, and we had them get their FAFSA login so that when that FAFSA opens up, hopefully October 1st, they'll be ready to go to get the Michigan Achieve. There's a Michigan Achievement Scholarship this year, a lot of different things that they have access to.
And Kelli, for every generation, there seems to be some challenges that we all go through. For millennials like myself in Orlando, there was a bad recession. People were losing their homes. We were going through a lot when we were getting out of high school.
Especially in Detroit.
Yeah,
I mean, a recessed economy and a bankrupt city when I came out of college trying to get a job. It was tough.
Yes.
Out of high school for me, too, I just remember having to go through the bankruptcy with Kwame Kilpatrick and watching that court case happen. And it was just like a lot that was happening.
There was a lot going on.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing right now for high schoolers, especially as they are entering into the next chapter of their lives?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is just knowing what's out there, and that's what's nice with the Detroit Regional Dollars for Scholars is that is a nonprofit organization that works with about 16 schools, and they keep adding more schools. The more donors they get, of course, the more they can add, but students are able to apply to get into this program, and this program gives them the opportunity to get the SAT prep, which we all know the SAT, as much as we don't want that school to mean everything, it means a lot when it comes to college money. And then it gives them opportunity to be able to go on campus tours, so it just kind of opens up to all the different colleges that are out there. And then at the end of the program, they get $4,000. So that's one of the biggest stresses is money. Students want to go to a particular college, but I know when I graduated from Wayne State in 93 and I didn't have any college debt, I was able to work and pay for college, and students just can't do that anymore.
It is not the reality at all any longer, which is so true. And so many kids think about that. My nieces and nephews think about the same thing. Like, well, should I go to college or go to even community college,
vocational
school, whatever it may be, and not have debt or not have student loans afterwards. So just trying to figure that out. So Kelli, just really quickly, because you talked about 16 schools being involved with this program, the nonprofit, there are schools across Wayne County, Washtenaw County, Macomb County. We see that we have Lincoln High School here, as well as East English Village Prep. So you have kids that are coming from all over Southeast Michigan. How many of your students that you're interacting with are first-generation college students?
Probably 80%. I would say 80%. That's a lot of the students that are applying to this and in this program come from that, because it's just, we're trying to help students get over those obstacles of not knowing what to do after. And it's not just college either. We promote the trades as well, because we know not every student is going to go into college. So we support all of it, and Dollars for Scholars does that as well too. But yeah, I would say probably 80% are first generation college students.
And you talked a little bit about Dollars for Scholars, of course. You also have the Next Level Scholars program, which goes right along hand in hand with what you all are offering at the Detroit for Scholars. So can you give us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so what's great with the Next Level Scholars is that leads them in. You know, so many times we get all these students, and especially as a high school teacher, I just have a passion for getting those seniors ready for the next stage. You know, I hate the thought of them going off and not knowing about opportunities. And the beautiful thing about the Next Level Scholars is they stay with them when they graduate. So instead of just letting them go after they graduate, they're still networking and connecting with them through the years that they're in college, or if they're in a skills trade. They're staying connected, getting them connected with other students on campus just to help them out and know that they're supported, that they have somebody else. They have one more person that's on their side helping them to be successful.
You know, there are other entities, specifically the government, looking at education. I don't know if you all have read the Growing Michigan Together Council report, specifically its segment on education. Have you read that report, and what do you think of some of the recommendations?
I have not read that report, so I am not sure what their hopefully the recommendation is for students to, when they get to college, to that next level, that they are getting with an academic advisor, getting with a financial advisor. That's what I always tell students to do. Go straight to those offices, make sure that you're staying in touch, because there is money out there. It's just you don't know what you don't know. So there's money out there, and students just need to know how to get it.
And, you know, for high school seniors who are going into college and who have to take out massive amounts of debt, what does that conversation look like? Because I remember at 17 years old, I did not understand the magnitude and a lifelong commitment that I was getting myself into. How is that conversation going? And do students understand what they're getting into?
I think, unfortunately, a lot of times they do not. And the problem is, too, they're coming from, their parents are of a generation where we didn't have that kind of debt because college wasn't as expensive as it is now. So it's even hard for parents to give good advice because they don't even realize how much more expensive it is now. So the conversation really is talking to them about, okay, you want to go, your dream college is to go away. Well, maybe you go to the community college for the first 2 years and then to save money so that you're not going as in debt, because you have to look at, do you want to live with your parents till you're 30 trying to pay off a school loan, or do you want to cut that cost, maybe go to community college, then go to a university and have half the debt? So it's really kind of looking into that, and then seeing also the scholarship money that you can get, and really writing all that down and looking at it instead of just saying, oh, I want to go away to school, but not realizing that could put you $120,000 in debt.
It really can. If you're just tuning in with us, we're chatting with Kelli McCloud, a Detroit Regional Dollars for Scholars Liaison, and we're talking about ways to prepare seniors for life after high school. So just chatting about the organization itself, it has a goal of 60% college attainment level by 2030. What needs to happen for this goal to become a reality in Michigan, especially Southeast Michigan?
Honestly, I feel it's money. It's just really helping, making it attainable for students. I wish that students could work and go to college to where they could cut down that debt. But even if you're working and going to college, you're still accruing such a large debt. So I don't know if there's going to be relief for that until we really look at, and I'm not talking about free college for everyone either. I'm just talking more that there needs to be some type of balance that students can work hard and also still be able to cut down that debt. And luckily, Michigan is doing a pretty good job. They just passed the Michigan Achievement Scholarship where they took off the parent portion as far as what the parents make. So it's open for all students. I love that. I love that all students have an option to be able to get that money. So I think Michigan's trying.
At least they're doing something, I guess you can say. What does that scholarship look like? Can you go into that a little bit more?
Well, the Michigan Achievement Scholarship is pretty simple, and I hope I'm not getting anything wrong, but it's really if you are a resident of Michigan and you go to an accredited school, you graduate from accredited school in Michigan, you just go on that website and put in your information, and then you can get, I think it's up to $5,500. So it's pretty substantial. Yeah. And you can get that money and you could apply that. There's some of that money you could apply to a trade school even. And it's really open to everyone, and it goes back to the class of 2023. So anyone who's listening, if you graduated in 2023 or 2024 and you got denied because of parent income, go back and reapply for that.
It's good to know. That's good to know. Definitely put that out there. We'll make sure we put that with our web post as well when you all go to look this up. But before we let you go, just wanted to get into the non-traditional routes after high school. College isn't for everyone, and sometimes it is all about timing, just like you were just talking about. So what are some of the non-traditional routes that you're showing kids that they can go into?
Well, a lot of students now are looking into the trades and looking into getting those internships or apprenticeships of the trades. So when I'm talking with students, I have 3 children. One is going to be a senior this year. The other 2 are already done with school. One's in the trades and one graduated from college. So I really have a good realm of both where you just kind of, if you are not too traditional, going to go into college, that's okay. You just find your place then, find a different route. So it's really just giving them all the options. But there's more options than the typical. And also, too, it's okay to switch gears. Sometimes it's hard to make a decision at 17 what you want to do with the rest of your life. And that's okay. You don't have to make that decision. If you're 20 and you want to switch gears. That's okay. And just don't compare yourself to someone else. Everybody's journey is different the second you graduate. And just really trying to talk to teenagers and make them feel that it's okay that their journey changes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about grade point averages and SAT scores and how, they're not really a real indicator on a student's learning abilities, but it also has advantageous or disadvantageous effect on their opportunities and futures. How are you having these conversations with young people about testing, especially young people who don't test well, like me?
Yes. Same. So this is what I tell them. Your SAT and your GPA, those do not define you. They just may alter your journey. So let's say you didn't do real well in school, and let's say maybe you didn't test well on that SAT, so you can't get into the exact college that you want to get into. It just means you can't get into that college right when you graduate. So go to the community college, work hard, get your grades good, and then the only time your SAT and your GPA matters is when you graduate high school. That's the only time. Nobody cares about it any other time in your whole life except for when you graduate. So I tell kids, don't let that define you. It's okay. Yeah. You're just going to change you're just altering your journey just a little bit. Instead of starting where you wanted to start in September, you're just going to wait a year. Yeah. And you haven't lost anything. So it's really just perspective. We don't need to beat down an 18-year-old because they didn't do well on the SAT. It's okay. Just now your journey is going to be a little bit different, and it's still going to be great, and you're still going to be successful.
Yeah, and helping them get over that devastation, right? I remember having friends
terrible.
it's a huge
was.
devastation.
It was. It really was.
Tia, you sound like, are you speaking from experience, Tia Graham?
No, I just remember getting, because I didn't take the SAT, I took the ACT, and I just remember it not being the best it could have been.
Yeah.
And friends around me, even my closest friend, like 28, 29, 31, and I'm like, oh, I'm over here. I made it.
There's so much crying. I hate the day that the SAT scores come out because it's just, I want to take it off. I just want to have a sub on that day. So the sub has to deal with all the crying and it's just awful.
It's
awful.
It really is. Kelli, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro and letting people know what they could talk to their teens about. Other teachers who are listening right now, talk to the kids about. Kelli McCloud, an educator and a liaison for Detroit Regional Dollars for Scholars. Kelli, thank you for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You all have a great day.
Coming up, we'll hear about the ways Oakland County is trying to make its parks more accessible to people with disabilities. We'll be right back.
It's the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I am Tia Graham, and here in the co-host chair is Orlando Bailey, the executive director of Outlier Media.
That's right. Parks, the great outdoors. They're great because anyone can go and enjoy them, but people with disabilities often lack opportunities to enjoy the outdoors in the same way that able-bodied people can. The Oakland County Parks Department is trying to change that. This summer, the department held their third annual series of Diversibility Day events in Southeast Michigan. The last one will happen this Thursday at Mayberry State Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. WDET's Sydney Walkie spoke with Oakland County Parks and Recreation Supervisor Sandy Dory about Diversibility Days and how Oakland County is trying to make its public spaces more inclusive.
Could you just tell me, first things first, what is Diversibility Day? What is the purpose of it?
So Diversibility Day is a way to showcase parks to people with disabilities. So we have three different ones. One is at Independence Oaks, which is an Oakland County park. We have one at Lake St. Clair, which is a Huron-Clinton Metro. And this year we are partnering with the DNR at Mayberry State Park. And what we do is we bring out activities that can be adapted for people with disabilities, as well as we have physical therapists on hand to assist with transfers and all of that. So each Diversibility Day looks a little different depending on what the park amenities are. And we get approximately about 200 to 300 people with disabilities coming out to each one of these programs.
So they're geared for people with disabilities. Is there any specific disabilities that you guys provide amenities for?
Actually, for Diversibility Days, it's for all people of all disabilities. So it's people that have intellectual or cognitive disabilities, as well as people with physical disabilities. We have a group that comes out that's visually impaired. So we accommodate all disabilities at Diversibility Day.
So what is the overall goal for these Diversibility Days? How do you think they impact people with disabilities?
So what's really great about it is, I know like the one that we did at Independence Oaks, we have kayak launches and we have archery. So those are avenues that people can come out and try out those sports to see if they're interested, and then they can go into an individual clinic from there. So it's giving people the opportunity with disabilities to actually try some new sports. We have track chairs, which are wheelchairs with bulldozer tracks on them so that they can get around and do the trails. So it just offers opportunities that a lot of people with disability don't know what it is. And what's really cool about it, too, is that we have mentors out there, so people that have had disabilities for a while that actually talk to people and explain to them like what other sports or whatever activities they can get into and how they can go about doing that. So it's an educational purpose, too.
Yeah, and do you know if most people, after the fact they've been introduced to this park have tried new sports, have they gone on to do more active and athletic things after the fact?
Yeah, so we have seen an upswing in people with disabilities getting involved in all of our programs over since COVID. So there's an upswing of definitely people getting more involved. And this is a way for us to showcase a whole different sports at one time, because there's 10 different partners that pull together, people that own bikes, people that own the track chairs. We have comfort canines. It's just a way for them to experience it, and then they can go and learn more about the individual sports. I know from this year, we are actually moving forward with offering adaptive archery next year. So we'll have a whole program for archery because there's so much interest in archery.
Wow, that's so awesome. That's so cool. And so after the fact, when these people might consider joining these sports and doing it for a longer period of time, is there any ways to help them with the cost of that and getting equipment for that?
There are grants out there as well as organizations that help support that. And as far as our leagues that we offer, that we're going to offer for archery, I know we started adaptive golf this year. We offer it at a nominal fee. It's a minimal fee that basically just covers the basic cost of what we're doing. But there are, for equipment, there are you can go after grants for specific chairs and things like that. And also some of the agencies also do have a scholarship program to get into them. We do have a resource guide that will be available through our website, which you can just click on it and it'll be a QR code. And all those resources will be on our website probably by November.
You mentioned maybe archery in the future. What other activities specifically will Mayberry Park have?
We do have the track chairs. We have we're going to do volleyball. The volleyball we can actually do is sit volleyball, so that anybody that maybe has mobility that maybe can't stand, or if they're actually a paraplegic, they can sit on the ground and we can actually play volleyball that way. So we're adapting a lot of the basic games that we have out there. And then we have bikes for them to try out, which the bikes are either hand cycles, so a person that is a para can actually pedal the bike with their hands. We have trikes, so there's more balance, and we actually have some side-by-side bikes too, where someone can actually ride right alongside a person with a disability.
Why do you think this is so important to implement at parks in Southeast Michigan?
I think it just, our role being supervisors of parks is to get people out into the outdoors. And I think this provides an opportunity in a safe environment. If you can get them out there once in an environment where they have the support of all the volunteers and the partners and all that, they're more likely to go and attend on their own. So it's increasing awareness of the park and the benefit of just sitting by the lake or going for a walk.
For the Oakland County Parks and Recreation, can people look forward to anything upcoming soon besides Diversibility Day?
We are wrapping up our summer season, and we're actually moving into our fall season, which we do Disability Dirt Day, which is one of our biggest programs, which is where we take people with disabilities into our off-road vehicle park. I have volunteers that take their side-by-sides and Jeeps out into the park and give people a 45-minute ride in the park.
Wow, when is that happening?
That is September 21st and October 20th. So those are big events. It started 3 years ago, too. We had 12 people our first year, and now I will sell out with 125 people.
Just to give a quick rundown of the event, can you just tell people what they can expect at this Diversibility Day at Mayberry State Park?
Yeah, so Diversibility Day is coming up on Thursday, August 22nd. It is from 11 to 2. We'll have the different varieties of activities with our partners of bringing out the sports chairs and the track chairs, and the DNR is providing lunch. So it'll just be a fun day.
That was WDET's Sydney Walke talking with Sandy Dorey, supervisor of Oakland County Parks and Recreation. The last Diversibility Day is this Thursday, August 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Mayberry State Park in Northville. Sydney,
yes, Sydney was, she did additional production on the show, The Metro, of course, but she was also the intern, one of our interns this summer. Yeah. Sydney, great piece. Thank you so much for leaving that with us as you go on to your, I think it's her senior year in college. At Wayne State. Okay,
Congratulations,
we got a lot of
Sydney.
shrugs going. Exactly. Congratulations, Sydney, and as a nail as well. Both of those were interns this summer. So I just want to say a huge thank you to both of you. Coming up, paid leave will soon be mandated for Michigan employees. We'll hear from someone who represents businesses that are not so happy about that change. You stay there for the Metro. Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I am Tia Graham. Here with us this week in the co-host chair is Orlando Bailey, the executive director of Outlier Media. The little hey y'all, I'm like, yes. Hey y'all. However, coming up, last month, the Michigan Supreme Court made a pivotal ruling that will increase the minimum wage and require businesses to provide paid sick leave to their employees. Workers will now get 72 hours of paid sick leave, 9 days. And while most workers welcome these changes, several businesses are unhappy about it. Later in the week, we're going to speak with someone who advocated for changes to Michigan's paid sick leave policy. But right now, we want to hear from someone who's against the change. Brian Kelly is the president and CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan. He says that paid sick leave makes life harder for both business owners and workers. To discuss this now, we have Brian Kelly here. Brian, welcome to the Metro.
Thanks so much for having me on the program today.
Of course. So, you've called the ruling anti-worker. Why is 9 days of paid sick leave anti-worker?
Well, it has the impact of taking away flexibility from workers that today, most workers today, especially full-time workers, have flexible leave banks. So they might say they get 2 or 3 weeks of paid leave. They can use it for sick time, use it for personal time. They can use it to pick up the kids from school, or they can use it for vacation. Anything they want to use it for, they can use it for. When the government says says to businesses, you must set aside 9 days of sick time per year, the outcome of that is going to be that workers will lose the flexibility that they have in their current leave banks, because so much of it has to be explicitly designated just for sick time. And I think most employees don't use 9 days of sick time a year. They'd rather use that time for vacation. And so that, I think that's a way that it ends up having, in most workers are not going to be very happy when they find out that they lose vacation over this.
And one of the things that you also stress when we're talking about the ruling is the importance for flexibility for businesses as well. What does that look like?
Well, this is there's a provision within this law which essentially makes it very difficult to just operate the schedule of a business. So, for example, employees would have a 3-day no-call, no-show allowance each year. So they could just not show up, not call, not say anything for 3 days. And as long as they show up on the 4th day, they can just say sick time, and the business may not take any action whatsoever to address that no call, no show, because it's explicitly allowed in the law, and the business is forbidden from even asking for a reason why the person didn't show up for 3 days. So when we look at it and say, well, is it too much to ask that people just have to call in and say that they're not coming? That sort of thing. And then also it establishes there's no minimum amount of time. So a person with 72 hours, a person could be, for example, late for work 144 times a year. And again, the law, as long as they say sick time, the business is forbidden, absolutely forbidden under the law, from taking any corrective action whatsoever. And while we know that most employees wouldn't abuse that, Some will, and it causes big morale problems with the other employees that have to pick up the slack.
Brian, this is Orlando Bailey. Thank you for joining us
Sure.
today. In fact, I'm really happy to talk to you. You were my commencement speaker at Eastern Michigan University in 2012, so it's sort of serendipitous that I get to have this conversation with you right now. I'm wondering, can you expand a little bit more on this exchange between paid time off and paid sick leave, and how you infer that paid sick leave will sort of truncate into the or eat away at paid time off. Is that what you're saying?
It's absolutely what I'm saying, and that is going to happen. I promise you, it is going to happen because the law mandates. The law that would go into effect in February of next year, unless changed, it mandates that 72 hours a year be dedicated for sick time. And and sick time comes with certain kind of rights and privileges: no call, no show, no approval, no scheduling ahead of time, all that kind of stuff. And so, like for a business to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to use my vacation time for employees and overall general paid time off to meet this new requirement, well, they would have to say that vacation time is now no call, no show. It doesn't have to be scheduled. It doesn't have to be approved. It'd have to meet all the requirements of sick time. Therefore, it's not practical. Businesses will not be able to use vacation time to meet the sick time requirement.
But I think it's the conversation that you're having is coming from a little bit of a deficit-based place and a punitive place, as if this is something that the workers will abuse. If people are sick, or if they're in the hospital and they can't or don't have the ability to call in, I mean, we're talking about 9 days out of 365 days. Is this going to be that severe?
It is going to be severe because you're thinking of it in terms of 9 days, but chronic lateness to work is a very, very common problem. And it's something that businesses have to deal with. They have to, and other employees are impacted. Say you have 100 employees and 2 of them you have chronic problems with tardiness. If the business is in a place where they are not allowed to address chronic tardiness, 140, you said 9 days, I'm saying 144 times late for work, half an hour late for work a year is what this allows for, then those other 98 employees have to pick up the slack, and they see, wow, these other people that aren't working hard in the business is doing nothing about it because the law forbids it. So what I'm saying is that the exception becomes a problem for everybody. Most workers won't abuse this. Absolutely, most workers won't abuse it. But the two problems that I'm predicting, that you are forbidden from dealing with chronic tardiness, will affect other workers that are.
But we're not talking about tardiness. We're talking about people who may get sick, which is out of their control. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Brian Kelly, CEO of the Small Business Association. We're talking about how businesses are reacting to the new ruling that's mandating paid sick leave for Michigan workers. I want to talk to you a little bit about, folks. I think there's also this assumption that everybody gets PTO. Mm-hmm. There's this assumption that everybody gets paid time off. And if you are an hourly employee or even a part-time employee, sometimes those benefits are not even extended to you. What do you say to that?
Well, for most full-time employees, they are. We actually just surveyed this and found that it's pretty rare for people not to have paid time off as a full-time employee. It is true that many part-time employees do not have paid time off, but there's you notice you don't hear any businesses or very few businesses complaining about providing paid time off. It's the fact that you may not ask for any reason for the time off. There's no, you don't have to, you can't have a policy of requiring a doctor's note unless it's more than 3 consecutive days in a row. You may not ask for any sort of notice at all at the start of a shift. You had mentioned, like, what if somebody's unconscious and in a hospital? Okay, let's write it in there. If you're unconscious and you can't, we know that 99.9% of the times that somebody uses sick time, there's no reason you can't call by the beginning of the shift and say, I'm not going to be there. But the law says that you can't require that. There's just, it goes so far as to not, any business that has to keep a schedule or has to deliver. Think about businesses in the healthcare field that just, they have to know who's going to be there that day. Or in the retail business where you have hours of operation and something is opening. You got a bakery down the street where in order to have, be open at this time, you need people there at another time baking. I mean, there's so many aspects of just, this law goes so far. It's not the fact that sick time is required. It goes so far down the road of not allowing businesses to even manage their schedules anymore.
Can I tell you what I'm hearing and what you're saying? And I just want to draw out a little bit, because there are so many businesses and companies who already offer paid time off and sick leave, right, within their own policies.
Yes.
I think what this is trying to do is take care of the least of us. And I think that's government's job, if I'm not mistaken, that to make provision for those of us who are part-time employees, those of us who have to deal with external societal determinants that have people in poverty, that have people transportation insecure, housing insecure, things that just sort of come up that may not always align or allow them to communicate ahead of time with their employers. What you're suggesting to folks who are already stricken with so many societal determinants is more punishment? Or, I mean,
no,
help me
I'm
understand.
Saying is that the workers are the ones that go on to the deal. The workers that today have flexibility, they have paid time off. The ones that already have paid off, which is most workers have paid time off today, that they're going to lose flexibility in how they take that time off because of this law. This law requires that they lose flexibility. And then it is also going to create a scenario where businesses, if the law says you can't set your own, you can't set schedules, and you can't just, I mean, right now in terms of, like, you're saying people need sick time. Okay, let's just accept that. But you don't have to do it in a way that makes it difficult, or in some cases impossible, to run the business. You can require sick time without saying that a business isn't entitled to just know if a person is going to be there that day. You can require sick time without having a 3-day no-call, no-show allowance. You can require sick time without saying that a person can be tardy for work 144 days in a row, and the business is forbidden from even asking why or taking any corrective action whatsoever. You can require sick time without making it so difficult to operate the business, because what we're going to find is that small businesses are already on the edge. You've hit so many problems, so many challenges, and everybody says they support small businesses. I mean, people love to say it. Oh, they're the backbone of the economy. But then actions and that don't follow those words with the public policymakers, when they keep on piling more and more and making it more and more difficult for them to survive, and we're going to find ourselves, the only thing that's going to be left is big business.
Hey, Brian, so we're going to have you back on the show to continue this conversation at a later date. I want to say thank you for joining the Metro. Brian Kelli, CEO of the Small Business Association. Once again, thanks for being here this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
The Metro. Coming up, it's the 10th season at Detroit Public Theater. We'll talk with the leader of that organization about how it's changed over time and what shows are coming to Detroit this year. You stay right there. It's the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I am Tia Graham, and I am here with Orlando Bailey, the Executive Director of Outlier Media. Orlando, Thanks for being here this week.
I am loving it. Thank you for having me, Tia.
Of course.
Listen, it's Detroit Public Theater's 10th season. The organization produces nationally recognized plays by world-class writers, directors, actors, and designers, all in the Midtown neighborhood. This season features a hilarious play that took Broadway by storm last season, a play by Detroit's own Tony Award-nominated Dominique Morisseau, and the world premiere of a new play to end the season. Also taking place this season is the theater's second annual holiday cabaret. To talk about the upcoming season, we're joined by co-founder and artistic director of Detroit Public Theater, Courtney Burkett. Courtney, welcome to the Metro.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's good to see you, Courtney.
Good to see you.
Listen, I want to get into the plays, but a lot of the themes in the plays are topics that come up on the Metro. You know, racial inequality, gun violence in America. So what can you do with a play that we can't do here on this radio show?
Well, we can both do the same things together, just in different forms. But we can, I think theater really allows you to see your own life reflected back at you, and really allows you to explore your humanity in a way that we don't really get that opportunity. There's an intimacy that you get. You also get to do it in community with other people. So you're sitting next to people who may see their own experiences reflected on stage or may have never had those experiences, and you're watching them together. A lot of times we have really diverse ages and diverse economic backgrounds, racially diverse audiences, and so watching these plays with some people who have lived experiences that are reflected on the stage and some who don't, and listening to how they respond to the same moments and they experience them together is a really beautiful and important thing for society to do, I think.
That's the magic of the arts, especially the theater, right? It oftentimes documents what is observed, right, in the human experience. And so right now we're living in a moment. We are in a moment. And does this moment we're living through influence the plays you're selecting?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, we're thinking about what's important in our lives. What are the conversations that we're having? And then we're reading plays all the time and going and seeing plays in other cities, and then deciding what conversations we want to have with our community, what stories we want to amplify, what voices we want to amplify, and what we want to do. And that's how we choose what to produce. It really is reflective we try to really be doing contemporary and current work that is about what's happening in our lives now.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a alum of the Detroit High School for the Fine and Performing Arts and studied under Marcia Sackwoff in speech and theater. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the plays, specifically Fat Ham, right? It's a modern adaptation of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and we always see these adaptations of Hamlet. How did you choose this one?
Well, we read it when it came out. A friend of ours who had directed at Detroit Public Theater directed the Broadway production last year. Matt Webb was also an understudy in that Broadway production, who's a Detroiter. And so we saw the Broadway production and just loved it and knew that it was a play that belonged here in Detroit, that we needed to share it with Detroit audiences. And we wanted to make sure we knew it was going to be produced all over the country, and we wanted to make sure Detroit audiences got to be a part of this conversation. We had our first rehearsal yesterday and a read through, and it was so funny.
Is it funny?
It is hilarious. It is so
because
funny.
Hamlet is a tragedy, right?
Yes,
and so we turned it funny. How did it get its name? Fat Ham is hilarious.
Yes.
It sounds hilarious to me.
The main character's name is Juicy, and the character description about him says he is thick with 2 C's. That's how we talk about who Juicy is. And so if you know the story of Hamlet, you will absolutely see the parallels. If you're not even familiar with Hamlet, you will still understand who Juicy is and exactly who his mom is and who his uncle is. You'll see it all.
Juicy is thick. He is thick. 2 C's.
Yes, the stage directions of the script are unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. If you're just tuning in, we're chatting with Courtney Burkett, the co-founder and artistic director of Detroit Public Theater, about their 10th season and the new lineup of shows. Okay, so the show Confederates by Dominique Morisseau and Soft Target by Emily Kaczmarek. Did I say her name right?
Kaczmarek, yep.
That's what he's trying to say. Are among shows in the lineup. Can you go into the diverse storytelling you're offered to the audience?
Absolutely. Well, Dominique Morisseau is our executive artistic producer. We have a shared leadership model at Detroit Public Theater, so I'm one of 3 co-producing artistic directors, and then Dominique is our executive artistic producer. But in addition,
love her.
We do too. In addition to the work that she does with us, she is a really prominent playwright on the national scene. She wrote Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations, which
saw it
just
on
toured
Broadway.
through. Yes, and she's this play was done at the Signature Theater in New York, Confederates, and it is just incredibly smart. It's a really she writes beautifully. She writes women's stories beautifully. This play takes place in the antebellum South, and then in the
are we preparing to be triggered?
In some ways,
In
yes,
some ways,
yeah, we are.
Because it's called Confederates.
Yes,
and so,
exactly. And then it's a parallel story with some contemporary women who are working in academia, in modern day academia, and so talking about the parallels between those two places, and how women support each other and challenge each other and lift each other up, and it's an important conversation for everyone to be having, and so we're really excited to be able to bring Dominique's work home. That is a big part of what we wanted to do when we founded this company, and to be able to share her stories that are being produced all over the country with the city that bore her and bred her where she came from.
Let's talk about how the Detroit Public Theater is a way for people to get into the theater who have not ever even seen a play or are involved in the culture. It really is a low barrier of entry. Talk about that.
It totally is. It's really important to us that this work is available to everyone. For every performance, we have pick your price previews. So the first two performances before we have opening night.
That's really great.
Yeah, people can come for as low as $5. We started another initiative this year because some people can't make it to previews. All Thursday night performances have $25 tickets available. So every Thursday night, if you come on Thursday, you can get a ticket for $25 instead of our normal $49 ticket price. So we are really just trying to create a space where people can come. Thursdays also start at 7 o'clock. We are trying to create more of a vibe afterwards, too. We have a great bar in our lobby. So
it's so nice in there.
Thank you. So we want people to, it was really important to us to create a place that was warm and welcoming, and people felt like they could come in and hang out and wanted to be there and wanted to talk about these plays. So we're trying to create lots of different entry points. And, the American theater going audience lurks a certain way. And that is not the only audience we are producing for. We are really producing for everyone, and we're really producing for the people of the city of Detroit. So we also have rush tickets every night. We have 10 tickets every single night that are $25. You have to buy those the day of at the box office when the box office opens. So we really try to make cost not a barrier for entry. We want people to feel welcomed here and to see their own lives reflected.
I think that's really cool. I often say, especially for young people, that they can dream about becoming what they've not been exposed to.
That's
and
right.
I remember the first time feeling seen on stage. It was like, I gotta do that.
Yeah,
and gotta do it.
Yeah, we do a production of Dominique Morisseau's play Detroit 67 every year with schools. We have 4 partner schools that we do it with, and we've been expanding that. But every year, that is something where people see Bunny, the character of Bunny. Young people see Bunny and see themselves in Bunny, or see their family members in Bunny, and it's so important that you can see your own experiences and your own family reflected back at you.
Is the theater going to get into musicals anytime soon?
Well, the Holiday Cabaret is a musical, and we have 4 incredible artists who did it last year and who are all coming back. Some with Broadway credits, lots of regional theater credits, incredible performers doing great music. The Holiday Cabaret is not your grandmother's Christmas Carol. It is. It's saucy. It's irreverent. We're really hoping that a lot of people will come together, come in groups. It's a really great way to celebrate the season and have a really fulfilling musical experience. Those artists, they will melt your face with those voices. I promise you.
Thank you for coming in today, Courtney.
Thank
it's
you for
always
having
good to see you. That was Courtney Burkett, the co-founder and artistic director of the Detroit Public Theater.
Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. Just want to remind you, the WDET listener survey is back. We want to hear from you. What do you think of the Metro? And we do listen to every comment, so definitely let us know. Share your thoughts, and you could win some neat swag. It's quick, it's anonymous, and you'll be helping serve you better. Take the survey now at WDET.org/survey.
All right, that's the Metro for Tuesday, August 20th. You can listen to recent episodes online at WDET.org, and make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. The show is also on YouTube if you like listening that way.
The show is produced by Sam Corey, David Lyons, and Jack Philbrandt. And our engineer is Nate Bender. Music's done by Sam Bovian and Will Sessions.
The Metro is a production of WDET, a listener-supported service of Wayne State University. If you like what you hear and want to support the Metro, consider becoming a member at WDET.org/donate.
This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.